G'day you mob, and welcome to this episode of the series that I'm doing with Jake Farwarton and Greg Savage from The Pouch, the podcast on political expressions. So today we're going to explain for you a political expression that is used in Australian English all the time. Don't forget to go and check out their podcast, The Pouch, if you want to learn about all things Australian politics. So guys, I hope you enjoy this informal, fun discussion. Three guys getting together, having a bit of a laugh whilst talking about Aussie politics and also trying to teach you some Australian English at the same time. All right, guys, so tap the currawong and let's get into it. So, Greg,
yes.
Mudslinging. You should be able to do this one. You'll hit this one out of the park. Mine. So, is it actually throwing mud at one another? You know, some kind of like mud wrestling party, or
yeah. So what they do is all the seats disappear in the Senate and in the upper and lower houses. All the seats disappear.
They drop down.
Out comes the canvassing. they fill it with mud.
Gladiators, are you ready?
Mudslinging. Look, it's the practice of saying negative things about an opponent during a political campaign, and it's also known as dirty politics. Now, I suppose on one extreme, and just to put into perspective our sorts of mudslinging here in Australia, on the one extreme, to use America as another example, they're basically allowed to say and do say anything about their political opponents. I mean, the sort of the darkness of their political ads is just comical, to us here in Australia. Yeah. So we don't quite get as dark. It's not like we make out our opponents to be murderers or, some kind of, they're waiting in the bushes for you or something.
Lock her up! Lock her up!
Yeah. There's none of that sort of stuff. It's really...
There has been.
But not. I don't think it's as dramatic. Like it's not as I don't think we fall for it as easily as maybe what some American voters do. I suppose that's the sense that I get. I think that you would be laughed at if you sort of made a Bill Shorten is out to get you and all that sort of stuff.
Bill Shorten killed 17 children in 1976 on the road to nowhere.
So
was that the reference to the US thing of them spreading that rumor about Hillary supporting
the Pizzagate
pedophile network with children being sacrificed and all sorts of weird stuff.
We don't have that. Like the sort of stuff that we get is there'll be more pressure from the unions to do more about this and that. You won't have as much freedom when you want to negotiate your pay with your boss, and that's the sort of the level of
we have in the recent past though. Particularly when Tony Abbott was in opposition and Julia Gillard was the Prime Minister, there was another term for mudslinging is muckraking.
Is it really?
Yeah, muckraking.
I think I've heard
Tony
that
Abbott loved that.
Really?
Let me take some notes.
He loved muckraking.
Muckraking. So you put muck on the ground and you use a rake to just spread it out.
Yeah, because it spreads real well.
He's a muck farmer.
He is a muck. Actually, people have said that a lot about Tony Abbott. But no, that the politics, the muckraking, the mudslinging that occurred while Tony Abbott was in opposition, particularly as there were two major pieces of policy that were that Julia Gillard was targeted over, which was the mining resources rent tax, MRRT, and the carbon tax, or the carbon emissions trading scheme.
That Tony Abbott had suggested before Julia Gillard came into power.
Hey, look, if you can't see it, you can't tax it, bro.
Is this the witch? Are you leading towards the witch situation?
Look, there are situations where she was doing that, where he was doing that. There was just this sustained campaign from him against Julia Gillard specifically. But it was classic. I'm a conservative. I dislike that policy, therefore I'm going to attack the person versus the attacking of the policy.
What was the situation with Abbott where he was lost for words and looked like he was about to have a stroke? Do you want to tell us about that situation?
I don't actually think that he was about to have a stroke. I think that he was about to punch the reporter.
You're not saying anything, Tony.
Yeah, you're not saying. I was watching that a little bit earlier today. I can't remember the question that was asked by the reporter, but essentially Tony Abbott, looking straight down the barrel of the camera, essentially is looking intently, going,
Shaking.
nodding.
Yeah.
He's nodding. He's going, and the reporter's asking, "You're not saying anything, Tony." He's just,
I think I've given you the answer you deserve.
It says there was 28 minutes of silence. It was riveting television. 28.
Just him nodding his head.
They turned it into an audio
very
book.
agreeable, Tony. Intent nodding.
That was our first episode of The Pouch, was just basically us interviewing Tony Abbott. It was just him.
He's showing up on every podcast.
Yep.
Yes, 28 seconds of silence on Channel 7, apparently. So, yeah. And, I'm trying to find the question. But anyway, 28 seconds of silence and him just nodding and just not answering the question.
I mean, it was clearly an indignant question, but, sometimes those indignant questions are actually really ridiculously important.
I think the problem with Tony Abbott was he wasn't quick on his feet. He could never think of a response that was very witty, like a lot of the other guys could. Like especially Kevin Rudd was razor sharp when it came to that.
Yeah.
All right,
fair shake of the sauce bottle, buddy.
Thanks for joining me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learnt a little something new, and I hope that you improved your listening comprehension, as I know that sometimes it's difficult to listen to three native speakers all talking over the top of each other about a certain, topic in conversation, but that's the whole point of this sort of series. It's to give you exposure to advanced English discussions, chats, everything like that, so that you can work on your listening comprehension whilst also learning about Australia, Australian politics, and some English vocab about politics. Don't forget to go and check out Jake and Gregg's podcast, The Pouch. You can find this via any good podcast application for free. They publish an episode every weekend about Australian politics. Anyway, until next time, guys, I hope you have a killer week, and I'll see you soon.